My parents looked down at my boyfriend not knowing they worked for him. I, 25 years old, recently dated a guy named Eric from a friend of mine. We had been dating for a year until I decided that it was time for him to meet my parents. My parents are both construction project managers and work under one company. I was nervous about their first meeting because I knew my parents tended to be overly protective and somewhat judgeful. The introduction went smoothly, and my boyfriend bonded over shared interests with my parents. However, the atmosphere shifted when the topic of Eric's profession came up. My boyfriend mentioned that he worked in construction. My parents assumed that he was a frontline construction worker, a misunderstanding my boyfriend didn't correct. He wanted to be liked for who he was, and not what he did. The conversation began taking an awkward turn when my dad began asking about my boyfriend's work life and bringing his salary into the conversation. My boyfriend told my parents that he made $25 an hour but chose the passion he had for his work rather than his position or income. My parents sneered at my boyfriend, telling him that he wouldn't get far in life with his perspective. They then continued pointing out my occupation and how I was a lawyer. They told my boyfriend that I made twice as much as him when he should be the provider. I joined the conversation and told my parents to stop because of their rude behavior towards Eric. My parents laughed and then began to apologize unapologetically, saying that it was over the line. My boyfriend kept his composure and shifted the conversation to another topic. When my boyfriend and I were about to leave, my parents mentioned to Eric that they might run into him at some point, given that they all worked in the same industry. My boyfriend, with a gracious smile, agreed that it was a small world in the construction business and that they might run into each other. When my boyfriend and I got into his car, I began to apologize for my parents' rude behavior, which Eric told me that he didn't mind. My boyfriend then pulled out his phone and showed me his screen. My boyfriend told me that he always knew my last name was familiar, and he confirmed that my parents worked for him.